Yeah, I will say a few words maybe to start the information session. Hello, and thank you all for joining us for this info session on a very special and unique experience that artist Kerrie Everett Horrocks conceptualized, entitled Discover, Dive, Draw. Kerrie is here with us today, and so is Tony Fitzsimmons, whose exhibition, The Coral Garden, is currently on display at Umbrella Studio Contemporary Arts. My name is Jasmin, and I am Umbrella's Arts Program Manager. On behalf of Umbrella, I would firstly like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, share, and celebrate local creative practice, the Wulguru Kaba, as well as the surrounding groups of our region. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. For this information session, I will be asking Kerrie and Tony a few questions about Discover, Dive, Draw for the next 20 minutes or so. And afterwards, we are happy to receive questions from the audience. There's also a chat. If you would like to type up your question, you can, and Amanda will keep an eye out on the chat. And also just be aware that this session is going to be recorded. Discover, Dive, Draw would take participants both to the Great Barrier Reef with Adrenaline Snorkel and Dive on Saturday, the 12th of November, and to Umbrella on Sunday, the 13th of November. Kerrie, would you like to speak a little bit about this unique two-day experience and tell us how you came up with this idea?
Absolutely, Jasmin. Thank you for the introduction. Discover, Dive, Draw really does feel like a natural progression for me after diving on the Museum of Underwater Art for the last couple of years and gathering so many photographs and watching Tony bring some of those photographs to life in these amazing artworks in the Coral Garden exhibition. It just became very clear that I wanted to get down under the water and sketch them on site, as we do as artists. We really like to draw from life. So once I had gotten Tony also certified so that I had a dive buddy that would sit in the one spot with me for 30 or 40 minutes, we just realised that this was going to be a really unique opportunity to offer other artists just like us that would want to do or want to partake in an experience in such a beautiful location.
Thank you very much, Kerrie. I know that you and Tony have continued to go out to the reef regularly, as you have just mentioned, and that you are experimenting with different materials that allow you to actually draw underwater. How does that work? And will the Discover, Dive, Draw participants be able to draw underwater with you?
Yes, absolutely. So, as you said, Tony has become a very valuable dive buddy for myself. Not only having somebody that is able to just come down and be happy to stay in the one spot for the duration of a dive, but also somebody with such extensive knowledge of different papers and, prepping them. So what we'll actually be using after our product tests and our decision-making process is a type of paper that has a binder in it that stops it from breaking down in the water. It's a Teslin, you can see here, looks very much like paper, acts very much like paper, and takes graphite beautifully. And is prepped with gesso, just a light application, which gives it a really lovely surface to draw on. So once we head down into the water, our paper is prepped. You can probably just see this, and placed on a Perspex sheet that we can then fix with these little folder binder edges. And so that keeps everything nice and secure while we're diving, doesn't float away, and we have a lovely flat surface to draw on. Pencils are our medium of choice, graphite. We have done some work with hard oil pastels, otherwise known as crayons, for some addition of colour, but most of our works, like this one as well, this little one, is simply graphite or pencil on the prepared paper. So participants will be using the materials that we've actually chosen as our preferred items to work with underwater.
Wonderful. Maybe Tony, would you like to jump in and speak a little bit about your experience as well underwater, and yeah, how you and Kerrie have been working together to experiment on the materials that you can use underwater?
Yeah, thanks, Jasmin. Yeah, it's been a real revelation to me, because I'm still, I think yesterday when we went out to the reef, it was dives 8 and 9 for me, so still very much a newbie in the scuba scene. So it's a combination of getting used to that, and being in the water, and using our materials. So it's pretty special, and I've never been out to Moa yet. That the visibility hasn't been quite reasonable, quite good, and yesterday was no exception. And the numbers of fish that are there is pretty wonderful. So it's a good environment to draw in, using these materials that we've been using, and we know that they will work underwater, and we're hoping that we can translate those into a good experience for all participants come day 2, and certainly on that first day as well, that everyone should be able to hopefully get some sort of a representation on the board. And we're also hoping to be able to give some instruction on the boat on the way out, so people will have a good expectation of what to expect in the water.
Thank you very much, Tony. I think it's lovely that you just mentioned that you consider yourself still gaining experience with the diving and the drawing underwater. And of course, Kerrie is a very experienced diver herself. So I think there might be a few people out there that are wondering, can I do this as somebody who has no diving experience? How will that work for me? And can I join Discover Dive Draw?
So personally, as a dive instructor, I deal with all levels of confidence and anxiety and everything that goes with, pushing your comfort boundaries and trying something new. And having been an instructor and done so many one-on-ones, I definitely like to think that it's something that I'm good at, is getting people comfortable in the water. So this is no exception to that. Divers that don't have any previous experience, or I should say artists and participants that have no previous experience in the water, are absolutely encouraged to come and give this a go. And I would think that in the sessions that we have out on the boat, the first session, uncertified divers would take to the water after the instruction we give them, and go for a dive with one of our instructors and peruse the site. Actually have a look at the site as it stands on the sea floor, as there are quite a number of structures and statues around the atrium and the coral greenhouse itself. These upper sections of the coral greenhouse are shallower than the rest, so those are going to be an option for uncertified divers to draw if they wish in the second session, after we have some surface interval on the boat between dives.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kerrie. That might be a good opportunity to talk a little bit more about that second workshop day. So that day will allow participants to complete their artworks at Umbrella inspired by the dive experience from the previous day. And they will have the opportunity to draw in our gallery space amidst Tony's paintings and drawings for a coral garden, which have been inspired by his work with the MOUA. And can you, Tony, maybe tell us a bit more about that second workshop day and what drawing techniques the participants can learn from or practice with you?
Sure, Jasmin, thanks. Yeah, I think obviously we're using different materials and techniques to what we do underwater, but drawing deeply on what we have from the material from underwater. We'll probably envisage materials like charcoal, graphite, and pastel. We'll have some good materials to use, good papers, and participants will have the opportunity, I think, either to preserve their drawing from Saturday, which will be or drawings, which will be pretty important to them, and we can develop new ones from that. And one of the things that Kerrie mentioned yesterday will be attempting to recreate some of the colours that we see underwater. So we'll maybe make some colour notes on the Saturday. And I'd like to think of the drawings we produce as kind of a sketchbook or even a travel journal. We've gone somewhere special, we've recorded it, and now we're coming back to expand on that. And it's a pretty large canvas. As someone said to me once when we were doing some landscape drawing, he said, you've got to zone in a little bit on something that takes your attention, and then just focus on that, because underwater is no exception. It's a big space to draw on. But I think, and I hope that when we're drawing in the studio too, that people will be inspired by the drawings from the exhibition that they see around them. It might bring back memories of the statues and the water life that they've seen on the Saturday trip. So we're comparing what we've seen underwater with what we brought back from Saturday, and what's there in the studio in front of us. So I think the combination of all those things and a few different techniques that we can use will be quite an enjoyable day on the Sunday.
Thank you very much, Tony. So maybe similar to my question previously about people that might like to join but don't have any diving experience, I think the same goes for the drawing component of Discover Dive Draw as well. Can anybody join? Do they need to have previous drawing experience? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's sure, Jasmin. No other experience is really necessary. We can cater for all levels of ability, which is pretty important. And Kerrie and I will be there to assist the participants in their drawing. And I think some of the drawings I've done are quite loose. Some of the drawings underwater, and I'm not saying that we're not looking at achieving a masterpiece, but more in maybe refining and just developing those memories, those visual memories we have from underwater. But no, the short answer to your question is that you don't need any previous experience in drawing, and I'm sure people will find it an enjoyable experience.
Wonderful. I know, Kerrie, I've seen you and Tony come into the gallery every now and then while Tony's exhibition was up, and you've been sitting here drawing together, which was beautiful to witness. And then we also, of course, had a drawing workshop with Tony, where the statue that you can actually see on the slide here as the subject matter. Kerrie, would you like to speak a little bit more on those drawing sessions with Tony, especially in the gallery, but yeah, just in regard to MOUA and the underwater experience?
Absolutely, Jasmin, thank you. The drawing sessions with Tony have been absolutely wonderful. I really admire his style of art and the artworks that he produces, you know, because they're different to anybody else. They're different to the way that I work. So taking some guidance from Tony, as with any artist that works in a different way, is really important for artists to build their repertoire and become proficient in, you know, multiple mediums, and refine the way that we work, and to also inform how we look at our subjects, because often the way or the process that artists use really comes down to how they see something in line or shape, or, you know, particular sections when we break it down. So I know that working with Tony has really revised some core elements in terms of creating artworks and you know, basics when it comes to proportion and textures and surfaces and things like that. So even an experienced artist can take a lot from spending time with another artist. And I think that that's something that we're both learning from each other as we go through the process of drawing underwater in the pool and out at MOA, is we're using these new materials and refining how we use them each time. And then, being able to have conversations and reflect on the types of field sketches that we've been able to come up with has been really great. And I can certainly see in my sketches that I've done throughout this process, changes in the way that I use the paper or prepare the paper, and definitely improvements in some of the field sketches that I'm getting. So for artists that are joining us on, for this experience, it's amazing in terms of personal and professional development, because all of these experiences that we give ourselves to be able to extend our abilities, our skills, our knowledge, really do just inform our practice. And I think the way that we look at something when we're given the chance to look at a statue like Shelley that's there in the gallery and then see her counterpart under the water, it's quite amazing the way their surface has changed, and you have to deal with that in a different way. Now that the concrete structures have got these beautiful, soft, warm algal and polyp growths on them. So it really has been quite an amazing process. And I think it would be an asset to anybody to have that as part of their repertoire. For anybody that doesn't have a lot of dive experience or art experience, then that just opens up doors in both areas. Tony's commented that, even still being a newbie with, just under 10 dives to his belt, he's still able to come down in the water. He sets up all his gear, he gets himself ready, he gets himself down there. And as you can see from the photos, once in position, he just goes back into his artist element and is able to look at the subject matter, in the same way that he would in a terrestrial setting. But we have these different plays of light and these different textures. So we're just expanding the way that we can create that and put that on paper. I think it's an amazing experience.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kerrie. Maybe just for my very last question to both of you, is there anything that you would like to add, or is there anything that you particularly look forward to for the Discover Dive Draw experience and weekend?
I think it'll be pretty wonderful. I look forward to every trip out to the MOUA. It's a learning experience every time I go there. And I'm just thinking, as Kerrie was saying then about our drawing, when we were underwater at the MOUA, the trip before this last one, we were well settled inside the coral greenhouse, sketching away, and you sort of develop tunnel vision a bit when you're looking at the work that you're drawing. And we didn't know that there were several other divers on the boat, of course, and they're all swimming through the atrium of the coral greenhouse and watching us and filming us, and you're sort of oblivious to a lot of that in a way. So it's quite a meditative process, but a lot of fun. But there was another question, Kerrie. I just remembered that I had a lady inquire recently. She wears glasses and she can wear contact lenses, but she had a question about using the diver's goggles underwater, and I thought you'd be able to answer that for her.
Absolutely, and I think answering now that question and Jasmin's question from dive instructors, point of view is a really good idea. So in terms of participants that have glasses, obviously I wear glasses. I haven't seen the need yet for me to use corrective lenses underwater. But for somebody that has prescription glasses that they wear every day or on a regular basis, or somebody that wears contact lenses, what we do for our divers is we replace the normal lens, the clear lens on a dive mask, with corrective lenses. So while they're not prescribed lenses, they are corrective lenses that come in different grades, just like our glasses. So if you wear a 1.5 or a 2.5 whatever it is, then we can simply change out the lenses in your mask and put corrective lenses in for your dives. So we can cater for divers. We do ask, obviously, that divers that need corrective lenses, if they can let us know, then we can have them ready on the day. It takes a little bit of time and fiddling around, and we don't generally take corrective lenses or the whole cachet of corrective lenses with us on board to be able to change. So prior knowledge of that would be obviously super helpful. Jasmin, in terms of what I am really excited about on the day, I think as an artist, I really love seeing what people come up with when we have life drawing sessions together and everybody's drawing, and then you have a wander around and you see how everybody's interpreted the subject. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody's mark making techniques and how they use the medium that we give to them, because just like Tony and I, we might be drawing the same thing, but it really does come off looking different because we all use materials and make our marks a little differently. So I'm really excited to see how people interpret the site. I'm also really looking forward to seeing the divers come up from the experience and hopefully talk about the fact that it was amazing and they just had this really relaxing kind of zen moment down on the seafloor doing what they love to do, and that's drawing. And for the divers, I hope they have the chance to, you know, communicate that, you know, they stopped and they took the time to really observe a subject, and whether they did any drawing or not, you know, they looked at it enough to be able to come up and really remember details. Because a lot of divers, and I speak from personal experience, we tend to flit around and see as much as we can, and at the end of the dive can't always remember all the things because we didn't take our time. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, hearing how people felt when they're down there in the moment, because for me it's just like a zen, this being on the seafloor and drawing. Yeah, I'm in heaven.
No, it does sound like an incredible experience, and I really would like to thank both of you again. I know how passionate and dedicated you are, and I'm really looking forward to either participating myself or at least hearing everybody's comments and learning more about their experience. So yeah, lastly, I think we would like to encourage anyone to join Discover Dive Draw. Both uncertified and certified divers are welcome, and the former will receive the necessary training from Kerrie and the experienced dive instructor team from Adrenaline. And drawing experience, as we said, is also non-compulsory, as Kerrie and Tony will guide participants through every step of the way. So yeah, please go ahead and find out more on our website or social media, and visit Umbrella or our website to book into this exceptional experience. Thank you so much again, Kerrie and Tony. And yeah, we would now like to invite any questions that you have in the audience potentially to be asked. Thank you very much. Sorry, Linda, do you have any particular questions by any chance?
Oh, yes, yeah, I do actually. See me typing it. Yeah, sure. I'll definitely, I'll go and do this. It sounds really good, but I'm definitely just a participant. I've got no dive, drawing or diving experience. I've done info dive many years ago, and that was really good. But look, I will, and I realise now I'll wear glasses, so I will need some corrective lenses as well. So put that on the list. And also, how long will we be underwater for? How long will the session be underwater once we're set up and everything?
Okay, so for our certified divers, we'll get all of your materials ready. Tony and I will enter the water, certified divers will come into the water, and we'll take materials down to the sea floor. For uncertified divers, what we'll do is we'll take you through that theory again that you would have done a few years ago, and we'll get you back into familiar equipment and get you comfortable on the surface of the water before our instructors take you down and around the site. At a minimum, you'll be in the water for no less than 20 minutes to be able to peruse the site and have a look over the top of the sculptures, to swim around the tree sculptures, to see certified divers drawing on the bottom, and to have a look quite closely at the upper sections of the atrium and all the coral growth and the marine animals that have moved in there. So the length of the dive usually depends on air consumption. We do find normally that inexperienced divers go through their air a little bit quickly. It's not a blanket rule. Some people are amazing and they're the ones that we find sign up the next week to get their open water because they feel so comfortable. But yeah, I would say no less than 20 minutes, probably up to about half an hour for that dive session. And then we'll come up, we'll have a surface interval where we'll discuss what we've seen, we'll look at drawings, we'll continue drawing, start drawings, and then we'll have a second session for approximately the same amount of time. So it'll just depend on whether you're happy to be diving or if you want to have a go with some of the materials on the second dive. And I myself might try and get you into position where you can hover and take a close look at something for an extended period and try and make some marks and make your own little rendition of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm muted. Yeah, well, that sounds really good. Thank you. I probably will be someone who probably will go through my hair pretty quickly, but hopefully I'll feel comfortable. And yeah, and I would like to try drawing on the second dive as well. So yeah, it sounds really good. That's yeah, and I'm sure and I mean all the skills like getting water out of your mask and all those kinds of things, that'll be quite well. I'm happy doing that on the surface. I'll be happy to go down. So yeah.
Yes, so we'll do that. We'll get you to do that on the first dive. We'll get you comfortable on the surface and then just drop down to about 1 meter or 2 where we have a descent line. So you'll be able to hang on. The instructor will be right there and we'll just go through those basics of clearing your mask and then your regulator, recovery and purge, just like you would have done a few years ago. Nice and simple.
Well, it was quite a few years ago, so probably I would need more than refresher. That sounds really good. I'll definitely be signing up after this session. So thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. I look forward to meeting you and having you on board with us, Lynn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Lynn. If you don't have any more questions just now, then we might formally end the session. And I would like to say thank you very much again to Tony and Kerrie, and of course Ellen and Amanda behind the scenes. Yeah, and I look forward to the 12th of November.
Ah, yes. Question for you, Jasmin. Are you getting in the water, donning the equipment and having a go?
I think I will. I think I have to, especially after this session.
Excellent.
So, Jasmin, yeah. Thank you very much for hosting us too. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lynn.